we fucking go.
So, I guess we should address the big story. There was that the mass shooting in Texas with the school violence. You had 19 people dead. We have a policy. We don't say the shooter's name. We don't show his picture on this show. Just that it's fucking. There's no point in doing it. But I guess a lot of the people want to know, what would you do to prevent school shootings?
Yeah, especially as a teacher, you have to have.
You have a unique experience. Yeah.
Gosh, guys, and I knew you were going to bring it up, and I probably should have told you. So for me, like, obviously I have my own point of view, and I'm pretty steadfast in my Second Amendment stance.
Yeah.
But I don't like this politicizing tragedy.
Absolutely.
I don't like it. I don't like the soapboxing that's occurring right now on both sides. And it's just division. It's just keeping us separated when really we should be focusing on that. This was just a horrific tragedy.
Yeah.
It's a hard. I've got talking points that I've been working through, but to prevent that here, like, I think training, prep and training for resource officers in schools is necessary. I think you need to have somebody there. I think most schools that I've experienced have very secure entry systems here. So I'm not, and again, I can't speak for being out in Western Nebraska. I haven't spent a lot of time in schools in Western Nebraska. So I don't know. I think we hear the mental health discussion. I think that's something that we have to do a better job. Our government, in my opinion, has very few responsibilities.
For sure.
But some of those responsibilities are the safety and security of its people, and the safety and security and well-being of its most vulnerable in its society. So that's your children, that's your elderly.
Absolutely.
So when you're talking about creating, and I don't like to necessarily use the word policy, because as governor, you don't wield a magic wand and you just say, here's the policy now. But I think what you look for is you have to have conversations with what do they want in the community. You have to listen to what the communities want and what they need. I've talked to many veterans that have said, hey, I'm not doing anything else. I would show up at a school and hang out all day, and maybe that's not a bad idea. Maybe we do. It's a sad state of society if that's the case, where we have to have patrols at all of our school sites. But I think we default back to the localized communities, and instead of from a state perspective saying, okay, this is the mandate, you divert it back and say, okay, this is a local issue, and I, as your governor, will support what you're doing in your communities to take care of your people. And then, of course, if they aren't doing their job, then you have a responsibility to step in. But that's like a last resort. Unfortunately, we're not seeing that with current state of government. They step in right away, and they're like this and that. There's a couple of petitions going on right now, ballot initiatives. One of them's the constitutional carry initiative, which will give the voters in Nebraska a chance to vote for that. And then there is the full access ballot initiative as well, which gives you, if you have a permit to carry, you have full access to carry anywhere. Now, I have to be real careful, Caleb. You've heard the story when I ran for school board, and I was misquoted as saying that I wanted to arm all teachers.
Yeah.
When I simply just said that I think the first step would be to eliminate the gun-free zones in the schools. Let's just get rid of that, because that's clearly not doing anything. No.
Yeah, it's not working at all.
No psychopath is going to walk up and go, oh, no, they have a sign. I'm going to walk away.
Gun-free zone? All right. Well, I'll go shoot up a shooting range. How about that? Or a police station. Yeah.
Sure. But we're in a real hard position, and people are really passionate and very emotional about it.
Yeah.
I will say this, that I don't see if any future gun regulation isn't going to stop what already happened.
No.
And that being said, we have more firearms in this country than we have people, and you invoke a new legislation or a new ban, and you simply are now creating a whole new breed of criminals that were just the other day law-abiding citizens. So
they've done nothing wrong.
That have literally done nothing wrong.
Creating more criminals from somebody that was already doing like an already criminal act. Like,
right.
Well, the problem is you have in so many of these situations, and we're still learning about the shit in Texas, but I know for a fact the guy in Buffalo had been institutionalized for saying he wanted to commit a mass shooting.
Yeah.
You know, the police and FBI knew about it. They had knowledge of it, and they did that he wanted to do this, and they didn't stop him. So I just don't understand how our solution is to take more independence away from us and make it more difficult for us to own or carry a firearm, while simultaneously giving more responsibility and making us more dependent on the people who let this shit happen in the first place.
I'll say this, as like in El Paso, right? We had that very publicized the Walmart shootings that happened here. Now, is this this about 2-3 years later now, right?
Yeah.
It's still, there's always a local, like a El Paso police officer at every Walmart here in El Paso, and Walmart contracts their own security, but there's also a police officer there. So it's like, that's a trained city local police officer that's there.
It's a deterrent.
It is a deterrent. And like, I mean, with somebody who's done security stuff with military, they'll always say the number one thing to prevent anything crazy going on is presence. So,
for sure. For sure,
man. It's a hard conversation. And again, I feel horrible. My heart breaks for those people.
Yeah.
You know, I had to have conversations today that I should never have to have.
For sure.
Do you know what I mean? And it's one of those things where, you know, it's heartbreaking, and unfortunately, the political machine is going to use it to further create a deeper divide.
Absolutely.
That's ultimately they're gonna play the game, and they're gonna manipulate the pawns, and they're gonna do all the things that the dog and pony show that we've been seeing year after year after year my entire life. And we gotta figure out how to make it stop. It's like steamrolling out of control. Yeah, and it's frustrating. I'm just a regular dude, and I'm going up against the mighty machine itself, and it's like, wow. Well, the deeper I get, the more I realize how deep the roots lie. So,
well, like what I don't think a lot of people realize is guns have been here for a long time. You know what I mean? Like AR-15s have been available for civilians since what, the 50s, 60s? You know, kids used to take their guns to school and shoot trap with the trap team after school, or rifle or whatever. Yeah. So something changed along the way. The guns have always been there, 10,
15 years, really. I mean, like Columbine happened in the 90s, but
that was really an isolated incident at that point, you know. Like something over the last 10, 15 years, and I really think it's just the fact that millennials were broken and Gen Z is even worse. There's something, we're really the first two generations that grew up where a large percentage didn't have a father in their life. You know what I mean? Where violence was we were desensitized to it, and it was even glorified. And I'm not one of those people that thinks that, you know, violent video games make you shoot up a school, but like at the same time, I can't imagine it's very healthy for a 5-year-old to be, you know, mowing people down on Grand Theft Auto in their formative years. I can't imagine that helps people mentally.
Sure.
On the other hand, this is also the first generation that it grew up with internet porn on demand. You can go, like, we've been completely desensitized to sex. Porn ruins relationships. It ruins marriages. It ruins men's brains specifically. I mean, if you're a man above the age of 12 listening to this show, you've had a problem with internet pornography at one point in your life. Every man has. It's the reality. Some men have it much worse, but I mean, that's the reality of it. And I think it ruins people's brains, and none of those things on their own are going to make people commit mass shootings. But when you take someone that's already unstable and you combine and you add those three factors to their life: no father, desensitization to violence, and easy access to porn, so you don't care about, you have no meaningful sexual relationships, romantic relationships. You add those three things, that's a recipe for disaster. So that was my soapbox. Sorry.
No, it's a good point of view and very very
It's a moral.
on.
We're in the middle of a moral decay, and I'm concerned that it's irreversible. Is my
So that's the thing. Is it rolling down the hill too fast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moral and mental decay. I don't know. Like, I had a question. I Googled it. I looked it up today because I was thinking to myself, I've never, like, when's the last time you heard about a shooting at a Catholic school, a Catholic or Christian school? And I looked it up. A mass shooting, not like, because there was one where some guy robbed a gas station, fled to the parking lot, and the cops shot him. And of course, that's counted on those school shooting statistics that they like to talk about.
He was on the property. Or
yeah, but
shooting on a school.
Shooting
on school grounds.
So you guys remember that meme that was going around, like 173 school one of them was a kid went to an abandoned school building and shot a window out with a BB gun. Like, it's
one of them was like a kid demonstrating how to shoot a gun, like in a school speech. Like,
it's complete horse shit. Yeah, it's like, oh, you had a paintball gun within 20 miles, a paintball game within 20 miles of your school. Like that. So, but no, so I mean, I Googled it. When's the last time there was a shooting in a Catholic school, a private religious school in the United States? You want to know the answer? There never has been. There has not been one shooting in a private school in the history, one mass shooting in the history of the United States at a private school. Not from K through 12. Not one. So I don't know. I know it's easy to dunk on the religious people for the thoughts and prayers, but maybe people should look into what they're doing right. Because,
Well, I feel like, too, like this one that most recently happened, like it wasn't like Columbine or even the one that you went through, Caleb, where the person that did it was like a crazy person that went to that school.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't a full-grown person that went to an elementary school. Like,
yeah, it's like,
I mean, even I mean, you can say like mental health and everything all you want about it, but it's like at the end of the day, that was just a crazy person that picked an easy target. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, what are you gonna do?
And he shot his grandma in the face, man.
Who shoots their grandma?
Right. So Caleb, back to your solution. Not only did he probably not have a dad, but he probably didn't have his mom either.
Probably not. Like everyone wants to talk about toxic masculinity, but how many of these mass shooters had a father in their life? How toxic is masculinity?
Do you think the Virginia Tech one have? The Virginia Tech one was like one of the really big ones I remember from when I was a kid. The Virginia Tech shooter.
Did he have a father?
Yeah, I'm gonna look.
I mean, he may have. I mean, I don't know. That's a good question, but
no, and I think I don't. And then I've been to so many different conversations about guns. Limited magazine capacities and all of these things.
It's not going to do anything.
None of those things
get them illegally.
None of those things make it different. So I don't know what the reasonable solution is. I wish I did. I wish I knew, because that's the $1 million question, right? So.
Yeah. Because there's not, I mean, they'll get them illegally, but or they'll just, you make magazines a 10-round limit. Well, guess what? Guy walks into a school with fucking 3 10-round magazines strapped to his belt. What difference is that? It takes 2 seconds to drop it out.
Full. This kid dropped a backpack full at the door of the school. So
it takes 2 seconds to drop a magazine out and switch it out. That's not going to stop anything. That's not, the magazine capacity. It's people, and I think not all of them, but some of them come from a good place where they think they're doing the right thing, and they just want to feel like they're doing something, because it does suck to feel helpless.
It does.
But unfortunately, they're misinformed, and a lot of them are ignorant even to how firearms work.
Right.
And there's room for education there, and that might change their perspective. But a lot of these people don't want education. They want to stand on this hill that if you don't agree with me, you're happy these kids died, which is a horseshit position.
I've
just been there's hard objective.
You don't care. Right?
There's hard objective and current evidence, right? That prohibition of something doesn't stop,
especially not in the United States.
Present. Yes, of course, it doesn't work,
dude.
Especially when there's already there. It's already out there.
There's 400 million of them. Yeah, and now 3D printers are a thing, man. Like, we can't keep people and drugs from coming across the border. Why could we stop guns? We're not England. We're not Europe. You can't just wave a magic. They always point to European gun laws where they had 12 of them before the ban went into effect.
Right.
That's a lot easier to make that disappear when you never had them to begin with. And there's a lot of questions as to whether or not it even worked, because their crime rates all shot way up after that.
Yeah, not only that, but then someone like England had to deal with a ton of acid and knife attacks
Yeah.
people in like England can't even have like fucking knives like bigger than 3 inches and stuff. That's
dude,
ridiculous.
the thing is, even if I could wave a magic wand and make them all disappear, every gun in the world, I wouldn't do it because that's the equalizer. That's the equalizer.
That'd be super dangerous. There's people that live up in Alaska that need to fucking defend themselves from bears.
Even in the city, dude, if you're a 5'3" woman and a guy breaks into your house in the middle of the night, the only thing that's guaranteed to protect you is a firearm. You know.
Well, what about our constituents out there and even Western Nebraska? They got mountain lions out there, dude, that they have to defend their cattle from and stuff. Yeah.
Coyotes,
wolves.
Fucking, I mean, they're probably no wolves in Nebraska, but
not only here in Texas, dude. Those warthogs are all over the place.
Warthogs are bad,
and you can't kill them with a knife, dude. You have to shoot them with a very large caliber.
I would not want to try and kill a warthog.
I know, man.
What are you, Davy Crockett?
I know that everyone's first thought is for self-defense against criminals, but it's like, dude, there's like America is like at one point was considered like the wilderness, like crazy fucking untamed wild, dude. And there's still a ton of really dangerous animals here in the United States, and
especially in the
every
South.
city, every country, dude, or every state. Yeah,
absolutely. Mountain lions, like you said, coyotes, wolves. So have you seen the John? You know who John Rich is, right? The singer from Big and Rich, his country band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he was telling a story on a podcast he was on. He was at a dinner with a bunch of famous people. It was somebody's birthday party, and Nancy Pelosi was there. And she walked up to him. She goes, "You seem like a reasonable guy." And he's like, "Well, thanks, I guess." And she goes, "Can I ask you a question?" He's like, "Sure." She goes, "So do you hunt?" He goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, I'm not a hunter. And is it so if I shot at a deer and missed it, it would run away, right?" And he goes, "That's correct." And she goes, "So why do you need a magazine with more than or a gun that holds more than 7 rounds in it if the deer would run away?" And he goes, "Madam Speaker," he held up his phone and he goes, "All right, so my wife is sitting at home with our 2 kids, 3 and 5, in the middle of the city in Nashville, Tennessee right now. If she were to call me right now and say, 'Someone broke in, I hear footsteps coming up the hallway,' would you advise me to tell her to grab the gun with 7 rounds or the one with 30? And she just went, "Is that how you think about that?" And he goes, "Yes, it is." And she goes, "Well, it was nice to meet you," and walks away. I'm like, what a fucking baller.
She doesn't have to worry about it, man. She's got armed security. Dude, this girl I worked with up at the school I was at, right? Mm-hmm. Me and her would have discussions about this kind of stuff, and we would disagree on stuff, but we would keep it civil. Mm-hmm. But one thing that kind of bothered me about one of her stances was she was saying she didn't like guns, right? And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, we're in a city, a left-leaning city, and she's young, like a 20-something girl. Like, she'll probably not.
I don't like tequila. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to drink it.
That's not the thing, though. The thing is like she would tell me stories about how she was like a richer girl in Mexico. Like her family has a lot of money, and she lives in Mexico, and she had armed guards around her all the time when she was a kid.
Where guns are illegal.
Well, I mean, I think you can. I don't know how gun laws work in Mexico.
You probably get permits for security.
I know you can get them because people have them. Because it's just like here, like you got to shoot coyotes and shit out there. But like, she had like armed security and stuff. So I'm like, okay, so you're not cool with like regular people having guns, but like the rich people having security guards. Like that seems a bit. You know what I mean? That seems a bit.
It's like hypocritical.
People that just live in like a trailer home can't afford security guards, dude. Like, are you kidding me? For their kids and stuff, like.
Right.
I always love people that tell me to get a dog. I'm like, I love my dog. I'm not gonna put her in harm's way.
A grizzly bear in Alaska will rip any dog.
Rip your dog to shreds. Yeah,
I've seen a pit bull charge.
Dude, a mountain lion will rip your dog to shreds.
Yeah, I've seen a video of a pit bull trying to attack a bison, and that bison like flips that dog like fucking.
I admire the spirit.
8 feet up in the air, dude.
And then the dog went and bit a child.
Yeah, ran and bit a child.
That's what they do.
Yeah,
that's what they do. I don't want to spend the whole episode on the gun issue because I know you have a lot bigger platform than that. And that's not. It's the pressing issue of the time. Everyone wants to know.
And it's an important conversation. And you guys get the first Zimmerman for Governor interview after the issue, so you get the debut. Yeah, we set the standard for all future conversations here. So
hell yeah.
Well, I guess if you guys are if the constituents in Nebraska are understanding that they're having somebody who's willing to listen to different solutions, you know what I mean? Because I honestly don't think there's going to be any solution to this or really any of the pressing issues in Nebraska that aren't going to have some kind of but to them, you know what I mean?
They're all there. It's all there.
Dude, if the solution, it's just like weight loss. If there was an easy black and white solution, everyone would be doing it.